Hello, my name is Janine Alpert, and I am a doctoral candidate in public policy political economy, and I'd love to share with you my research on continuing education with adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I used a phenomenological study approach, a descriptive phenomenological study approach, to explore the most significant or common shared experience that adults with IDD have when they continue their education post-high school at a nonprofit organization called My Possibilities. This was a longitudinal study. It was done over 18 months. There were 3 groups of interviewees: hipsters, which are hugely important people, and what My Possibilities calls adults with IDD, their parents, and the instructors that taught the classes in which they were signed up. There was also observations of the hipsters in the classrooms and in their daily lives at school. There were face-to-face interviews conducted. These interviews were transcribed and put into in vivo qualitative analysis software. From there, word frequency reports and nodes were used to help find significant impact area, significant statements, and then finally emerging themes. So word frequency reports allowed the analysis and exploration of the use of words in each of the groups, and I came up with 5 impact areas, which ended up being 9 through the use of these word frequency reports and the word usages for each group. When we look at, when I look at the first grouping and the words that were used, we really see that quality of life was an impact area that was important to everybody. That was part of the study. And then when I continued to drill down, we looked over time, and then we looked per group with the word use, these word frequency reports. And that basically over time, what the theory was, or the hypothesis was, that over time there would be more speaking as people got comfortable with me as the interviewer. And what we actually see is not that. We see it's kind of all over the place. So the outside variables, or just the on with the particular person I was speaking to, was more important than actually feeling comfortable with me, it appeared. We also have one hipster that was nonverbal, so there was no obviously verbal interaction with him. So that did not, that's why you see this gap here. And then it was broken down, the means of these words uses were then broken down into group, and so we could see what was important to the group. And what we see with hipsters is that quality of life and independence are extremely important to them. Instructors' quality of life, but also maintain functioning, is pretty important to them. And parents' quality of life is fairly important. One of the things that really struck me is that employment was not as important to any of these 3 groups. So from these 9 impact areas, we then took significant statements and put them in nodes, which are like buckets that hold the significant statements. And from that, from all the transcripts, all those significant statements were put in one of those 9 nodes. And then I went and analyzed what the context of the significant statements, and that's where the emerging themes came from. So we had 9 impact areas that translated into 4 emerging themes. The first emerging theme was active learning community and program value, and essentially this was really these 3 groups being able to talk about My Possibilities programs, giving them space to learn, looking at their capabilities as opposed to their limitations, and using a growth mindset to allow folks to just learn at their own pace and learn what it is they were interested in. The program value really had to do around the value of the program based on the intellectual capability of the hipsters that were engaged. Some, because of the broad expanse that was happening in terms of capabilities, some classes were either too difficult or too easy. So there was some discussion about how to make the learning community more in line with what was available for hipsters. Then we had social network and social capital. What really came out with, in terms of the quality of life impact area, was that being with their friends and making friends and being in relationships and continuing to use their social skills was extremely important to every group. But what came out of that also is that they were gaining, so the adults with IDD are gaining social capital in the program, meaning that within my possibilities, all the students, there were things they could do to be in leadership skills, to help each other, to be part of social network that then elevates them in some way. And then also what was happening outside with this, so gaining social capital, is that the hipsters felt more confident to do things in the community at large because they have had this experience in my possibilities, and really talked about what it would be like if they did not attend, and the effects of COVID-19 were actually explored, and this was a major area. Then we had Safe Haven in the Push. Really, that came from the hipsters saying that, and the parents and the instructors saying this was a safe place to learn, to try, to fail, and that the instructors really pushed the hipsters to better themselves, to try things, to challenge themselves, which doesn't tend to happen in any place outside in the community. And even parents would talk about how they didn't push their kids because they didn't know, they felt that they were going on their limitations as opposed to what they're capable of. The next is self-management, which was really about the instructors and the parents and the ability to control negative behaviors. Some great things that came out of this, but some limitations: small sample size, the diversity of the population that was participating, and that the wide range of disabilities also it was quite a challenge. So thank you for listening. Appreciate it.